In this video, I'm going to break down how I engineered flow into my day, into my week, into my month in 2024 to go from making a tiny bit of profit in 2024, but really, or in 2023, barely scraping by, to having consistent 30K months in 2024 while having way more family time, flexibility, and freedom following the productized coach model. Now, what I'm going to do is share my screen and just show you the typical problem I see with a lot of coaches, right? Is we are all get caught in what I call the yo-yo revenue lines. So this is what it typically looks like. And this is literally what I experienced in 2023, right? So you kind of like, I started with a big launch. So I was up here, right? And then what starts happening is like, I did a launch right going into this year. So I like started decently. And then the payment plan started wearing off. And I'm like, oh shoot. So the revenue goes down, and then I do another launch. And so I kind of go up a little bit, but not as much. And then it goes down, and then I suddenly found a really big client. So it goes up. And then I'm like, okay, well, client's paid, time goes on, it just goes back down. And it doesn't exactly look like camel humps, but you get the picture. And then, I'm like, oh, I should work one-on-one with people. So it suddenly goes up, right? And then the payment plans start hitting and it goes down, and it's completely unsustainable. And the biggest problem I see with this model right here that too many of us get caught in is that we are basically doing one-off promos to almost like catch up. It's like, oh, we need the next big hit. We need the next big hit. And so we focus on doing these one-off launches rather than simply playing the game of compound interest and making sure that what we do every single month actually stacks on top. So here's a perfect example. This is what my 2024 looked like, okay, which is completely different. So in 2024, we'll take the same graph here, right? Is I actually started a little bit lower, but I started with stacking premium reoccurring revenue. And I would just kind of go a little up, lose some members, a little down, a little bit up. I would start launching more workshops, and it would just kind of go like this, and it would go like this. It would kind of just dip a little bit, and then it would go back up, and it would dip and go back up, and dip and go back up, and dip and go back up, and dip and go back up, right? And this is pretty much the flow, I would say, of the entire year. It was just a little bit down and then a little bit up, or a lot more up, and then a little bit down and a lot more up, because I'd have new members coming in, people would leave. And because one of the things I love about my program is that people can come in for the most part, and if they join at the community level or the Catalyst level of our productized offer, they can cancel anytime, right? So it shows on me to deliver, and also for them to make the decision if this is actually serving them or not, right? But overall, because what I was doing was continuing to work and add new members in, I was beating the churn rate, and thus we had consistently more people coming in. That was 2024. And what I want to do is break down what I did in 2024 to actually get this result and show you the core things that got me there. Because what was really interesting was it was less about doing lots of different things. It was about doing the same things that worked, but doing them consistently. There's 3 core things that I want to show you and help you implement and install this year to make sure that you have the same growth that I did here in 2025. All right. So the first thing is having a plan. Okay. What do I mean by a plan? I mean very consistently what you are doing every single day that is compounding in your favor, right? So oftentimes it's very, very easy. And I know in the past when I was a little bit unclear of what my plan was, it was very easy to wake up and be reactive. Oh, I will just do this thing today because so-and-so on the internet said it was a good idea, right? What you really need to do is make sure that you have a daily cadence, because routine and structure, and I know this from having kids, is the most important thing, especially for adults and kids. And it's so funny. I take every principle I learn with my kids and I pass it on to my clients, because all of them, I would say, are more true than ever. But having a really clear, this day I am doing this type of an action will make you a significantly better and more consistent entrepreneur and allow you to experience that compound growth. That is what actually leads to the compound growth, is doing the consistent actions, right? And so every single day I have a few non-negotiables, and what I'm doing is slowly adding or chipping away things that are either essential or non-essential, right? Getting rid of the things that are non-essential, adding what is essential, right, little one? Yeah. So as an example, one of the things I have on my habit tracker is daily email, right? I want to send an email every single day that I am alive. Very blatantly, because I know that for my specific business, maybe yours is different, but I doubt it if you're a coach or a consultant or a course creator or someone that is trying to build an audience of people that are pre-sold on what you do so that they literally just see an email, see an offer, and buy. If you want that, the biggest thing you have to be doing is consistently building relationships, right? Oh, did you take my mic? You're the one taking the mic off. Okay, I'm going to hold this thing. I know the biggest thing is building relationships at scale with people. And I know for a fact that there's a few activities that I can do that. One of them is daily email. The other is just a daily post on Facebook, which is just my primary platform right now. And then those are kind of the few core daily things, right? The next thing I have is weekly, right? And what I ultimately want to do is design the weekly, and I'm going to get this. I haven't done this yet, but this is going to be my new thing, where I'm going to get the weekly so dialed in that it becomes integrated with the daily. In essence, like as an example, my weekly week, right? So I have YouTube video, which doing that right now. I also have launch or close an offer. Every single week I want to be launching or closing an offer. What does that look like? Okay. So I typically recommend that to my clients to be launching 2 workshops a month, opening and closing their productized community twice a month, right? And so for me right now, as an example, at the time of recording this, our productized community is open till Friday, and then the price is going up, right? So right now I am in the middle of launching that offer and completing that launch. And then directly after Friday, the following week, I will be launching a workshop and running ads to it to grow my email list with premium pre-sold buyers. I'm doing one of those 2 things every single week. I'm either growing my ecosystem or I'm harvesting from it. It's one of those 2 things. And the thing that I've realized is that if you can engineer your plan that you tackle here to do 2 things, which is building, and I consider your entire business like an ecosystem. Very excited to do a training on that, and I know this one is too. But if you consider your business like an ecosystem, right, where you have to plant, you get seeds, right? You get the seeds, right? You got to plant the seeds. You got to nourish them, right? And then they grow into these beautiful, beautiful crops, and then you harvest your crops. If you think of your business like that, and that's what you're doing, you're either doing one of 2 things. You're either planting more seeds in your ecosystem, which is generating leads, or you're harvesting them, right? One of those 2 things is pretty much what you're doing. And that's kind of the simplistic way I see of growing a business, which is you're either generating leads or you're closing them, right? And so I want to be focused on either one of those 2 activities every single week in my business, or else things are falling flat. Because if you're not doing that, then what are you doing, right? Once you have the plan, you have to be so consistent with it, or else you will fall off. Even trying to record a video like this, well, my little one is mercilessly attacking this microphone that I'm now had to hold because she swatted the magnets away. I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm being consistent. Zach and Vivi Talk Marketing. What do you think? New podcast name? Zach and Vivi Talk Marketing. I love it. Absolutely love it. No matter what plan you do, I would say the number one thing that screws people up is not giving it enough time, right? And there's this Naval quote I love that he just says, you can't keep track, you can't keep count, or you will run out of time. And I think that this is so true, because if you are in the game of entrepreneurship and you have a mission to actually make it, if you are taking the actions and being consistent, like you're doing the actual right actions, you're not just working hard, you're working smart, you're launching, and which is most likely, if you're in a coach, consultant, course trader, you're launching offers. Like that's pretty much all you got to do, launch offers. If you are doing that consistently, like it will work out eventually. It's just there's a time delay until you get there, right? And if you just keep compounding every single day, week, month, year, you will make it happen, but only if you're consistent. I've seen the people that have come into my world. And they're like, I bought this program. I've seen this person's face when I do some research on them. They're like, oh yeah, they're in this big guru's program. They're in this big guru's program. They're in all the programs, right? They've joined everything. The problem is they're not consistent or they're not consistent enough. And a great example of this is like, I was working with this woman and her entire launch strategy to grow her business was to do 4, like once a quarter, like 5 or a 10-day challenge. And it would work in essence that it would like be extremely exhausting. She'd be super burnt out. She'd be drained. She'd be dreading it so much so that she's like, oh, I just can only do like 4 of these a year. But because she's only taking 4 at-bats every single year, her revenue is significantly capped, right? And that's a big bottleneck I see is just simply the number of offers people put out into the market is so little. They're following someone like Amy Porterfield or Stu McLaren that has this massive audience that can pull that off, where they just focus on audience building for 6 months and then have this multi-million-dollar launch because they have the audience. Versus where if you're a bit smaller, like under $1 million a year, even under $2 million a year, like you can't play that game. Like you need to be consistently showing up and making offers and inviting people, because this woman like basically was burning out and running out of money simply because she was just very limited in the number of offers she was making. And because of that, it really hurt her business, right? So much so that it was just like, I felt bad talking to this woman. She was just so exhausted from this thing. And one of the things that you have to do is be consistently following your plan and executing on it, putting out more offers. For me, that's going to be, again, 2 offers a month or I put 1.5 offers a month because I sometimes will do a bigger launch and I'll run ads for 3 weeks. And so some months I'll do 2 workshops. Other months I'll just do 1 bigger one, but that's okay. I'm really being consistent with it. And I'm either growing my ecosystem or harvesting it. One of the 2 of those things. Final piece is sustainability. And sustainability is very important in the sense that trying to do something that you do not believe you can successfully do over and over and over again to put in enough reps, time, and energy to get the result required or that you're looking for is a recipe for disaster. You have to be able to sustain it, right? So as an example, if I tried to mimic what Alex Hormozi currently does with 2 kids and the way I want to live my life, which isn't working 10 hours a day and going on vacation and doing fun stuff with my family, I would not be able to sustain that. Meaning I would not be able to spend the amount of time and do the reps that is required that. So what I have to do is instead ask what is actually essential. What are the core things that are really, really essential? And then say, okay, can I sustainably do those things over and over and over and over again? Because what ends up happening is that when we continue to do things like this and like this, we create loops. And this is what creates action, feedback, right? This is either plus or minus. And when we do these things, we either get action and we either get feedback, which is positive or negative, but that feedback allows us to adjust. So as an example, I might record this video and I might say, oh, my watch time on this video is very low. It dropped off significantly. So that could be feedback then to improve the next video. And because of that, what ends up happening is, again, that compound effect of going up and down, 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 pop, 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 just like this, right? Till we're taking off like Team Rocket, blasting off like a rocket. So when you're entering and looking at actually entering flow states going into 2025, We're already past that famous day where everyone quits their New Year's resolutions. I don't want you to do that. My goal is that you can have a plan right here that is simple, easy to follow, that you can do consistently and sustainably, right? Those are the 3 key ingredients to actually trigger flow, where you wake up every single day and you're actually excited about the day and you're not wondering, what am I doing today? I guess I'm going to go do X activity just because that's fun, right? And for me, I know the big thing I'm going to be doing this year for 2025 to keep things really, really simple and clean cut is literally just going to be 2x. Actually, I'm going to change that. We're going to do 1.5 workshops a month. Right? 2x open, close, offer. Right? And that's going to be, I want to do 2x YouTube, daily email, plus cross post. That simple. That simple. Thanks for watching. If you got questions about this, comments, leave them down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one.